She was always trying to return favors, Lady Whittier, even until the end. Even though, as I wish I could have told her, but never had the chance, I was the one who should have been thanking her. I really did love her. I loved her so dearly, and I never got a chance to tell her. Ah! Nudity! Ah! I knew that freaking image was gonna come back, but there was no warning. It just went boop! Here's some nudity. Ugh! This game is gonna be the death of me, I swear. Tawa fell silent, her head bowed. Lorena took this as a sign that the older woman was finished. Tawa's eyes looked a touch less vibrant than per usual, muted perhaps with unshed tears. She was staring at the top of Lorena's head dumbly, brow furrowed. She looked so troubled, so vulnerable, so exposed that Lorena was tempted to pull her close and kiss her. Almac at this point, what virgin eyes? What virgin eyes? Yeah, no, I didn't restart the game. It's a continuation. Oh, I they've been sleeping together before this. She wanted to kiss Tawa all over, her eyelids and cheeks and the corners of her lips. She was too beautiful not to, but Lorena couldn't. Cowed by Tawa's unexpected honesty and the raw emotion in her voice when she had recounted her tale, all Lorena could do was regard her anxiously. She frowned. Tawa, are you all right? This question seemed to be enough to bring Tawa back to her senses, which had momentarily taken leave of her. She smiled, a wavering, watery smile, and gave a brief nod. Thank you oh. So all women don't sleep naked like that with each other? No, it's not how that works, as people like to fantasize about. Thank you for your concern, my little Lori, but I'm fine. You don't look very fine. And that is a very rude thing to say to a lady such as I, Lorena Wa. Tawa gave Lorena a prod in the side with her finger. Lorena squeaked obligingly. The unmaid's eyes widened with shock, for she hadn't expected the sudden attack after so sentimental an interlude, and Tawa began to giggle. Why did you do that? Because the atmosphere was going rather heavy, and I don't want to cry. It would be unseemly. You have seen me in much more unseemly positions. It's only fair I should get to watch you shed one or two tears. Oh my, I didn't realize you were a fellow follower of the Sade. This is gonna be something kinky, isn't it? Don't pray your little head about it. You know, it's really annoying when you talk like that. I know it is, but you love me all the same. I wish I didn't. I'm sorry, my little Lori, but I'm far too wonderful to not love. Lorena pouted. You don't need to put it up and act all the time. You can open up to me. If you want. I'll be here for you. Isn't that what being an, Lorena's face reddened. Merely saying the word was embarrassing. But it sent a tremor of undisturbed, unblemished happiness rippling through her body, the likes of which she had never felt before. In a relationship is all about? Lorena finished, somewhat shyly. Tawa observed her cute companion, with her soft skin and dewy eyes, and smiled. She couldn't help herself. Oh, my little Lori, you are perfect. I'm really not. Not at all. I have a terrible temper, but I'm bad at letting it out. I don't always say what I really think, and I'm clumsy and awkward, and I get upset easily. That just means you're passionate. I like that. It's attractive. Tawa, I really am glad you told me that you trust me. Of course I trust you, my little Lori. I like you rather a lot. Good. Let's keep liking each other. Please? Of course, pet. It's a deal. A binding contract? Mephistopheles himself could not do worse. Mephistopheles? Close enough. Tawa kissed the top of Lorena's hat and cuddled her close. The sound of Tawa's heartbeat fluttered inside the shell of Lorena's ear. And then she sighed, sleepy, a bit. I had a stressful evening. I can only imagine. Well, you won't need to worry about that for much longer, my little Lori. I'll take care of you. I have the means. Yes, but after everything you said, can you really sell your violin? It must mean so much to you, and Lady Whittier, too. It does, but I think Lady Whittier, no, Pamela, would prefer it this way. She told me in that letter that she wanted me to be happy, and I haven't been truly happy for almost 15 years.
Same, though. Same.
14, 5, 6. So that makes her 29 years old. Wow. She looks good for 29. You've worked here for that long? The money is good, and I want for nothing, even if Lady Constance is a royal pain in the posterior. Then you really are old. You're a good deal older than me. How rude. Tawa's lower lip jutted out. She prodded Lorena's, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't talk that way about a lady's age. I'm sorry? Yes, my little Lori. I didn't realize you were so ancient. I'm not even in my 30s. And I'm not yet in my 20s. Old age comes to us all. And it came to you far, far quicker than it did for me. Right, that does it. They start tickling. Yep, this is not safe stuff to read. Ba-ba-ba. But then she couldn't help herself when they were so very foolishly, ridiculously in love. I'm paraphrasing it, this paraphrase. Oh, wait. I couldn't sell Lady Whittier's violin before. I was trying too hard to cling on to the past, and my memories of her were the only things that made me happy. I thought if I could keep her most cherished possession safe, I could keep being happy, and I would make her happy too. But I was wrong. Lorena raised an eyebrow. How rare. Indeed, it doesn't happen often, but in this case, Lady Whittier is already dead. She did a lot for me and I loved her dearly. I still do, in fact, but I can't make a dead woman happy, no matter how I try to honor her memory. It is impossible. I think it'd be far, far better if I started to live life for myself. A life with you in it, I think, would be the best life of all. Ah, it's so gay! So, Lori, my little Lori, what do you think? Would you accompany me into the great unknown? Tiredness had settled upon Lorena once more. Her limbs felt dull and heavy. Merely trying to blink seemed to expend too much energy, and she yawned yet again, her eyes beaded with tears. And where's that, then? Well, if I want to take you to the opera, it would probably be London. I've never been before. I'm rather fond of it. I did grow up in London, after all. Another yawn. It's all so soon, but, well, I'm not entirely sure what love involves, but I think I might, love you quite a lot, and I want to stay by your side no matter what, so I want to go with you. I want to stay with you, always. Oh, Lori, my Lori, I want to stay with you too, always. So saying, Tawa brought her fingers up beneath Lorena's chin and pressed her lips, soft but firm, against those of her dear, beloved little Lori. Please stop with the nudity. Yay! We're done. Hopefully. Unless we get a flashback scene to it like it did last time I thought I was safe. The following morning found Lorena in the servants' quarters. This had been her home for the last half a year, but no more. She was going to leave. She would leave Tawa on a brand new adventure. It was very early. Lorena, tired and groggy though she was, had slipped out of Tawa's tender embrace at 5 o'clock to pad, soft and silent, along the darkened hallway and into her lodgings. The young maid gathered her belongings slowly and carefully, willing the floorboards not to creak beneath her. Lorena didn't want the other maids to awake and learn what she was doing, least of all Pauline. Facing off against the older maid one last time might have been somewhat satisfying, but Lorena had no interest in such a dramatic farewell. She had quite enough of Bly. All she wanted to do was slip away, like the ghost Ada had spoken of so fearfully. Lorena didn't have many items to pack. She had precious few possessions to her name, save the clothes on her back. It took roughly 3 minutes for Lorena to gather up the meager belongings she had amassed over the years. A hairbrush, a few pairs of socks, her scratchy nightgown, a copy of Robinson Crusoe, and that was all. The other maids remained sound asleep the whole while. Pauline was curled up on herself, snoring softly in her sleep. With her eyes closed, dark lashes matted together, and her face smoothed free of wrinkles, she looked younger than usual. More approachable. Isabel, too, seemed less austere with her blonde hair let loose. It curled about her face, framing it sweetly. Effie lay still and flat like a board. She was so unnaturally still and silent, she rather resembled a corpse. Lieselot, meanwhile, seemed to be dreaming of her beloved Swiss Alps. She mumbled under her breath every once in a while. "Oh, Andermatt, I have missed you so." Every time she mumbled, Lorena's shoulders tensed, but she didn't awake. Lorena strained up and wiped her palms on her skirt. She picked up her battered carpet bag and turned, ready to make her stealthy retreat, but she paused. Oh, I hate those carpet bags. Oh! They make my fingernails feel weird when I touch them. I'm just like, nope. I'm so glad they're not really a thing much anymore. Something made her halt. She couldn't leave like this, could she? It was true she hadn't liked Isabel and Pauline, but the other maids were personable enough. Lieselot had tried to be kind, in her own strange Swiss way. Effie was supportive, albeit a touch too aggressively. And as for Ada, her precious friend, Ada. Lori? Lorena exhaled softly. The young maid with the round, moon-shaped face was sitting on the edge of her bed. Her hair, tied into 2 stubby braids, was a little mussed. Mused? No, that's one S. Must. And her eyes were bleary from lack of sleep. To Lorena's surprise, Ada had managed to attire herself in her maid's uniform, despite her half-asleep state. The uniform was crumpled here and there, but Lorena was impressed that Ada's flagging fingers had managed to do up the buttons. Excuse me. Is it morning already? It's not. You can sleep a little longer. But I already got dressed. I was so worried I was late. Ada stifled a yawn. Well, if it isn't time to get up, why are you already awake? I'm packing. Packing? For what? I'm going on a journey. Oh, right. Ada nodded slowly. She was so tinged with sleep. Perhaps she did not fully understand the implications of the ratty carpet bag or the drawer by Lorena's bedside which had been left slightly ajar. Is Lady Leonard setting you out on some errand? Lorena shook her head. As she did, she felt invisible fingers gripping her heart. She'd never been very good at saying goodbye. It had been the same 3 years ago, when she'd glanced at her family over her shoulders before setting out into the big, wide world. This has nothing to do with Lady Leonard. Ada yawned, rubbing her eyes with the back of her hands. But if you go out without her permission, she'll be mad at you. Let her be mad. It doesn't matter to me. Not anymore. Why not? Ada frowned. She blinked. And then, oh, Lori, you're not going away, are you? Shh. Lorena pressed her index finger against her lips, signaling silence, but it was too late. Lieselot snuffled in her sleep. She blinked, and then she sat up, disturbing the covers about her body. When she moved, her long blonde hair moved with her. It was so long it coiled on the wooden floor by her bedside like a corn snake. It's so early. Why are you awake, Lorena? I'm going somewhere. At this time? Lieselot's eyes widened. I have not overslept, have I? No, it's fine. Go back to sleep. I could not possibly. The game's afoot. So, Effie was awake too? How long had she been lying there? Privy to this to this conversation. Perhaps she'd been awake the whole while and had only been pretending to sleep. Sometimes Lorena did wonder about that maid. Lorena? Ada peered at Lorena in the dark, her hands clasped together at her front. What is going on? Well, Lorena bit her lower lip. I'm leaving Bly and I'm not coming back. Oh, really? It was Pauline. It seemed the conversation had awoken her, too. The older maid was setting up a bed, the covers bunched up about her legs. Though it was dark, Lorena could see the characteristic smirk on her cruel face. Have you finally been fired for gross misconduct? It was only a matter of time. Lorena scowled, drawing herself up to her full height. She had so wanted to avoid a confrontation, too. So much for that. No, I have not been fired, actually. Then where are you going? There's nowhere for you to go, unless you intend to take refuge in the poorhouse. Oh yes, that would be funny. If you think you have it bad here, Lorena, wait until you go there. They'll work you to the bone. Why? Do you have much experience with the poorhouse, Pauline? Now, we're the ones who are asking questions. Oops. I have no reason to answer them. Maybe not, but Lorena. Ada looked at Lorena imploringly. Her eyes were big and bright. We're friends, aren't we? Of course we are, Ada. You're one of my best friends here. Then why are you trying to leave? Why are you trying to leave without telling me? I thought it would make you sad. It would make me even sadder if I awoke to find you were gone. That is correct. I would worry the ghost had snatched you away in the night. Are we talking about that nonsense again? There are no ghosts at Bly, but there is a devious, underhanded maid who refuses to tell us the truth. I'm not a maid. Not anymore. Then what will you do with yourself? You don't have any real talent, and I doubt you'd be able to find another job in service after walking away from Bly. Assuming, of course, you're telling the truth, and you haven't been dismissed in disgrace. You can believe what you want, but I really am going. I've had enough, and as for where I'm going exactly, so long as I'm with Tawa, that's more than enough. Tawa? That parlor maid? How preposterous. It's true. We're leaving together. But two women can't strike out on their own. It's unthinkable. I knew it. Effie smiled to herself in her typically muted, Effie-like manner and nodded her head. So, is that what your heart told you? I guess so. Oh, Lorena, I'm so happy for you. When are you going to get married? Effie, asking the important questions. Lorena's cheeks flushed. I don't think that will ever happen. Maybe one day. Oh, Lori. Ada sniffled. I am glad you're able to talk things through with Tawa, but is this it? Are you really just leaving? Ada. Lorena winced. The fingers ensnaring her heart squeezed a touch tighter. I'm sorry. I should have told you. Only it's so sudden. I just found out myself. Did you really hate it here that much, Lori? Kind of. It's frickin' miserable. There were a great many things I disliked. Lorena shot a pointed glare at Pauline and Isabel. But I didn't hate it. Not all the time. You made things more bearable. You and Lieselot and even Effie. A pause. But I have to strike out on my own. The world is a big place, and there's more I want to do and see. I don't want to wither away in Bly. I don't want to stay here, but... Ada, I really will miss you. Oh, Lori, I'll miss you too. I'll miss you so, so much. And with a pained wail, Ada rose from her bed and flung her arms tightly about Lorena's neck. Oh, we get cute art! Ah! Ah! Baby Ada, look at baby BFF. Look at baby BFF. Isn't it so cute? She was soft, warm, and smelt like home. Her plain brown braids tickled Lorena's cheek, but Lorena found she did not care all that much. In fact, she rather liked it. You silly girl. If you get upset, then you'll make me feel upset too. Lorena sniffled. Already she could feel a lump forming in her throat. She swallowed it down stubbornly. Lorena had always had a stubborn streak to her, and let her arms wrap about Ada's waist. I'm sorry. You're always apologizing. Because I'm silly, like you said, and I know I'm emotional. I don't want to annoy you, but this is all so sudden. I don't know what I'll do without you. Ada, you're stronger than you think. I am? Yes, you gave me strength when I needed it. I'm sorry I have to leave like this. I really am sorry. Not wanting Ada, or indeed any of the other maids, to see her distress, Lorena buried her head against the older maid's shoulder. Her eyes beaded with tears. Was she crying? All of a sudden, the finality of their situation hit Lorena. This would be the last time she would ever cling to Ada for warmth, or smell her soft, slightly doughy smell. It would be the last time she'd ever see Ada, and Effie, and Lieselot. There was no going back. This really was goodbye. When Lorena finally made it to the gates of Bly, the sun had already risen. The sky was a bright blue, almost aquamarine, and dotted here and there with fluffy white clouds. Excuse me. Birds, mostly wrens and chaffinches, thrilled and twittered amongst themselves from the tree branches. Lorena could see them fluttering to and fro, flecks of color darting amongst the foliage. There was a gentle breeze. It tugged at the hem of Lorena's skirts, making them billow and flutter about her legs like the sails of a ship. It must have been 6:30 in the morning. The maids of Bly would already be awake by this hour, attending to their daily chores. Lady Constance and Lady Leonard, meanwhile, would still be asleep, snug and cozy in their four-poster beds like hot crust buns tucked away in the oven. What of Lady Constance? How would the irascible Madame react when she learned, with a jolt, that her favorite plaything had managed to escape? But Lorena would not think of that now. She had no sympathy to spare for that young girl. Good! Not after she had put Lorena through such misery. When Tawa spotted the young maid crossing the dirt track lined with trees, she smiled and waved. Lorena hurried over, panting from the exertion. The wind tugged at her skirts all the more, as though attempting to hinder her. But Lorena would not allow herself to linger. Not for anyone. You're late, my little Lori. I'm sorry, I got a bit waylaid. Saying tearful goodbyes? Maybe. Oh, I am jealous. At least you have a handful of people to say goodbye to, unlike my good self. But Tawa did not sound particularly vexed. She smiled gently and ruffled the top of Lorena's head, disturbing her hair. If it had been a month or so prior, Lorena would have snapped at her. Now, the young maid found she rather enjoyed the attention. Tawa's touch was warm, though in a different way to Ada's, and Lorena could not get enough of it. Do you have all your belongings? They're in this bag. Tawa peered at Lorena's carpet bag, her fingers between her chin. She frowned. It's rather small. Are you sure that's everything? I don't have many possessions to bring. Well, I intend to change that after I sell this old thing. Tawa gestured towards her violin case, held in her right hand. Lorena's eyes softened. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Quite sure. But Lady Whittier... Goodness, don't try to talk me out of this now, Lori. We came to an agreement, didn't we? I suppose so. The violin is important to me, and so is Lady Whittier, but I hardly need to lug this around with me to remind me of her. Her memories will remain, all the same, inside my heart. Tawa pulled a face. Though that sounds awfully cliched. You're becoming sentimental in your old age. I hope not. You must be, or you wouldn't have asked to run away with me. Lorena looked back at Bly. The large house was so far away, tucked behind an avenue of trees and a long, sprawling garden. It was almost impossible to see. She could still remember standing outside these gates just gone midnight, as her carriage slowly lumbered away into the gloom. The stars overhead had been cold and hard, completely uncaring about the young girl's plight. That had been 6 months ago. Half a year. Once, Bly had been an unknown, hidden at the end of this winding walkway. It had been Lorena's future. Now it was part of her past. Bly and Lady Leonard and Lady Constance and Miss Smith and Mr. Lester and Joe the gardener and Ada and Effie and Liesela and Pauline and Isabel. Soon they would become nothing more than memories. It was a sobering thought, but life went on, as always. So long as Lorena had Tawa, she would be fine. She was sure of that. It really is a big change, though. Do you regret it? No. Lorena shook her head. The wind caught in her hair, making it flutter about her face. The sunlight warmed the top of her head. It seemed to light up her cheeks, too, dyeing them a soft, gentle pink, just like primroses poking out of the earth upon the advent of spring. I want to go with you, and I want to stay with you. Always? That's right. Lorena smiled and linked her fingers together with Tawa's. Ah! No, I want to see art of them holding hands. No. Always. Ah! Is that it? I don't know. I think that's it. I don't know. Oh gosh, I want to show the credits, but please don't show any scene. Unsafe, or else I have to block the credits, and that means blocking names. Okay, just gonna pray that we can show these credits without unsafe things. I have my mouse over the button though, just in case. So far okay. But yeah, woot! Block, trust me. Okay. Oh, yep, you were right. Ha! Oh gosh, game, please don't crash. Okay, good. You were right, Almac! As soon as I was like, maybe, it was like, yeah, we need to. This one's safe, but I'm not gonna unblock because the next one's probably not gonna be safe. Well, at least you can see the credits from the top of the page. Not a lot, but it's I still feel bad. Oh, yep, that's pure nudity. I still feel bad. I want to give credit where credit is due, but I can't. Not fully. Oh, look at this art though, guys. Oh, look at that. Ah! I asked for this! Thank you for playing. Yay! Oh! Oh! I don't want to click. Oh, no, it's gonna go anyway. Oh, wait, there's more? There was more! Could have read the names. Oh, I guess I could have. Ugh, oh well. Everything they said about London was true. It was truer than anything Lorena had ever dared to dream of. Though the streets were not paved with gold, in actuality, they were rather dirty. The atmosphere about the big city, the biggest of all cities, was unparalleled. London was, as Wordsworth had said, the mighty heart at the center of England. There was so much history, one seemed to live and breathe the past. There were spires and towers and domes and temples all jostling for space along the banks of Thames? Please, someone tell me that's right. Is it the Thames River? I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Because I know it's not Thames, but I don't know if it's Thames. Ships crossed the water, sails unfurled, as they brought with them cargo from new and uncharted worlds. Bells chimed every single hour, no matter where you went and no matter where you stood. One could always hear bells. My gosh, I'm like distracted. I'm looking at chat at the same time. Bells chimed every single hour. No matter where you went and no matter where you stood, one could always hear bells. From St. Clement's in Eastcheap to St. Dunstan's in Stepney. I'm probably butchering all of these names. Ugh. And then there were all the houses. Oh, are they proper ladies holding hands? Ah! The houses were numerous, stretching out in terraced rows, one after the other, and all cramped in together like too many teeth in an overcrowded mouth. The streets were well worn, flattened down from innumerable footsteps of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. There were so many people it was impossible to count them as one crossed from one side of London Bridge to the other. And what people they were, too. The residents of London, whether permanent or temporary, hailed from all walks of life. There were soldiers and chimney sweepers, elegant ladies and painted harlots, fair-skinned English girls and Indian lascars with colorful turbans. In London, even a woman like Tawa, with her almond-shaped eyes and exotic skin, did not seem so terribly out of place. Though some did stop to cast a curious glance or two, or indeed 3 or 4, at this rare flower, most were too wrapped up in their own lives and their own concerns to spare her a second glance. Tawa was just part of the crowd, and Lorena was more than happy to accompany her, no matter where she went. Though London was a part of England, it was like no part of England Lorena had ever been to. The young girl had been brought up in Liverpool, which is a large port in its own right, but it was nothing compared to London. London was so divorced from everything Lorena knew, it almost felt like its own little world. A world where she could be happy with Tawa. Oh my gosh, they're adorable! Though, I don't know why this game has to have awkward angles of like, hey, look at their boobs! Like, couldn't they have just been normal angles? No? Okay. Oh, are you alright, my little Lori? Tawa paused, rarely a sensible thing to do in a heaving London street, and glanced back at her companion. You seem to have slowed down a bit. I was just wondering. You should do your wandering elsewhere, or you'll get swept up in the crowd. Yes, I'm sorry. We should probably hurry. If we don't pick up the pace, we'll be late for Medea. But, what is it? I don't know if a girl like me should see Medea at all. And why not? I'm not the most cultured of people. I don't know if I could appreciate it. I mean, I'm the daughter of a milliner and... Oh, hush. Lorena blinked. Tawa's fingers were curled about her own protectively. Her palm was warm and her touch was gentle. It doesn't matter if you're cultured or not. I'll help you along as best I can. And if you don't like the opera, we don't need to go again. But you like it. I also like chicken's feet. You don't need to like everything I do. Lorena pulled a face. Chicken's feet? They're a Chinese delicacy. You grew up in London. My father was still Chinese. Oh goodness, your tastes are even stranger than I thought. Is that a problem? No. Lorena smiled softly to herself. The crowds pushed and shoved about her, but Lorena didn't mind, not when she was with Tawa. Their fingers latticed together tightly. I like learning more about you. It's an adventure. Like exploring London. Exactly, except you're much, much more interesting. More interesting than one of the oldest cities in Britain. I am flattered. Tawa smiled coyly. Unfortunately, there's nothing about me that's quite so enticing as Medea. You saw it with Lady Whittier, didn't you? I've always wanted to watch it again. It was a formative experience. More than the chicken feet? Much more. It's what inspired my love for music and why I learned to play the violin. A pause. And ultimately, it was what led me to you, my little Lori. What do you mean? If I hadn't become so close with Lady Whittier, she wouldn't have curried favor for me with Lady Leonard. I wouldn't have gone to Bly, and I wouldn't have met you. And we wouldn't be here now. Are you glad you're here? I've never been happier. Tawa. But There was a small pause. Tawa grinned. I would be happier still, I think, if we could hurry up. I believe the opera will soon commence. That's right! We should hurry! Then let's go! And with that, the two women began to run. Tawa took the lead, her fingers still linked with Lorina's, as they darted through the crowds. Lorina followed, her skirts fluttering around her legs with abandon. They ducked and weaved and went their way through the crowds. Every once in a while, a pedestrian turned to glare at these most uncouth of women, and one gentleman, if he could be called as such a thing, even hurled abuse at Tawa's retreating back, but the older woman paid him no heed. Instead, she started to laugh. Lorina did too. She'd never been one to draw attention to herself, but when she was with Tawa, she couldn't help herself. She couldn't help but feel happy. As she ran, people streaming behind her like ships on the Thames, Lorina thought she spotted a familiar face. Two of them. Blonde curls and brown buns. Ah! But Lorina didn't have time to dally. Medea was due to start in 10 minutes or so, and Tawa was still pulling her along. I hope they bump into each other. That'd be great. Their shoes struck against the ground as they ran. Lorina's cheeks were flushed pink from exertion, her heart thumping wildly inside her chest. She was beginning to get a stitch in her side. It hurt, yes, but the pain, sharp though it was proof that she was alive. She was alive, and for the first time, it felt like she really was living. She was living together with Tawa. And was there anything in the world more wonderful than that? If there was, Lorina couldn't conceive of it. She didn't want to. She just wanted this mad, frantic, happy moment to last forever. Maybe if she stayed with Tawa, it really could. Ah! Ah, it's so good! I love it! That was it! I unlocked extras though. Wait, I'm scared to click. Oh! Notes? What are notes? Ah! Hello everybody, thank you for reading Blackberry Honey. I hope you enjoyed it. The creation of the story was a bit unusual for me. When I write, I usually start at the beginning and end at the end. And most of my stories are created in sequential order. After that, I read my first draft several times, removing necessary filler scenes or adding new bits and pieces if I think the story needs it. But this story was totally different. The first scene I wrote was the scene where Lorina gets the thorn stuck in her finger and Tawa picks it out. I wanted to write something like this for a very long time, and it was partially inspired by a painting my great aunt and uncle had in their home of a young girl in a forest standing on a cart with a rose in one hand, a thorn in her finger, while an older man pulls it out for her. The scene was meant to be entirely standalone, and I didn't intend to add anything else to it, but I thought Lorina and Tawa's interactions were interesting and wanted to use these characters in something else. For a while, I wanted to practice writing H scenes, as I don't write them very often, so I decided to repurpose these characters and use them for lewd situations. Oh boy! Then after writing these scenes, I realized that I liked the characters and their interactions enough to try and gather the few scenes I had and create a proper story around them. And as it turned out, this was pretty difficult. It's meant to be a short, cute, lewd story without much meat to it, similar to Sona Hanabira's series. Something we might have to Google later, but when I started constructing the plot around the age scenes, I realized they were kind of getting in the way. Not only that, but the original versions of these scenes were really, really long and threw off the pacing of the story too much. I condensed the scenes down and rewrote a couple of them entirely. I also wanted the scenes to be written in a style that would suit the Victorian setting of the story, but I looked up the various euphemisms the Victorians used for the intimate parts of the body. Thought most of them sounded silly. Soon nobody will want to read a sex scenes with euphemisms like. I'm not reading those, but there you go. Use modern terms instead. I think it's better than the alternative. I'm gonna skim a little. Ada did exist. Storage gonna have routes, with Ada being one of the love interests. So this game, which originally was supposed to be like more route choicey and stuff, and she was the one who broke the vase, but she didn't do enough in the story, so I removed her. I wrote her back in alongside several other side characters because I thought the story seemed too empty when the only residents of Bly with faces were Lorena, Tawa, and Constance. Having more side characters makes the narratives feel a bit livelier. It seems Bly more realistic. It was totally written totally out of order. With the introductory scene of Lorena by the gates of Bly being one of the last scenes that was written. Oh, this is cool. I don't know what now, Elmac. Oh, there's photos. Oh. Oh, this is dope. Wait, where were these taken? Oh, a lot of old English houses. Oh, this is so neat. Wait, is that the end of the notes? Oh, that's the end of the notes. We're not gonna look at other stuff because I'm scared. Wait, what are memories? Oh, it just like you can cut to certain scenes. That's cute. Well. Guess that's it for Blackberry Honey.